In 1918, the Boston Red Sox defeated the Chicago Cubs in the World Series. The victory marked the franchise's fifth championship since 1903. A year later, then Red Sox owner Harry Frazee sold future Hall of Famer Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees. Ruth became the game's greatest slugger, and the Red Sox infamously entered a championship drought.
It's a home run for Bucky Bench. Behind the bag, it gets through Buckner. That might send the Yankees to the World Series.
The 2004 Red Sox returned to the postseason, now 86 years since raising their last World Series banner.
We were confident. We had a quiet arrogance about us.
The way it started couldn't have been any worse.
So many picked the Red Sox, but then what did all of us know? The tag, safe.
The more I watch that play, the closer and closer it gets.
It's gone! The Red Sox have won it!
One of the things that I'm going to tell my kids one day is like, I play with that guy.
The Boston Red Sox have won the pennant.
We had hit our stride. There wasn't much going to stop us.
And the Boston Red Sox are the world champions.
10 years after reversing the curse, members of the 2004 World Series champion Boston Red Sox reflect on that memorable postseason during Part 2 of this special two-part edition of the Red Sox Report presented by CVS Pharmacy.
Strike three call. The Red Sox are headed back to the postseason for the second straight season. This year hoping for a better fate.
The Red Sox finished the 2004 regular season in second place in the American League East with a 98-64 record, 3 games behind the New York Yankees. The team's record was good enough to earn the American League wild card and a matchup against the West Division champion Anaheim Angels.
People didn't expect to lose ever. We just got to go to California and just beat those guys over there. I was like, wow, like it's like that? I'm like, okay.
But they were a great team. They could go out and they could score a lot of runs, and they had a quality pitching staff. We had to go, full tilt the whole way, and it wasn't easy in that series.
Game 1 in Anaheim featured a pitching matchup of Curt Schilling against Jared Washburn, and the Red Sox offense wasted no time getting on the board.
David Ortiz to Kevin Millar. Manny Ramirez, 8-0 Boston.
By the 5th inning, the Red Sox had built a 7-run lead. That was more than enough for Schilling.
Schilling gets the youngster.
And the bullpen.
And Mike Timlin and Jason Varitek shake hands.
By the next day, the Angels had regrouped, and Game 2 of the best-of-5 series was more evenly matched. The score was tied at 3 going into the 7th inning.
1 out, 2 runners in scoring position. Not even contested. Boston has the lead.
The Sox added 4 more runs in the 9th to secure the victory and a 2-0 series lead. The teams traveled to Boston for Game 3 at Fenway Park.
We knew we could play. We knew we should win, but that's why you play the games.
The Red Sox jumped out to an early lead, but the Angels fought back in the 7th inning.
Out of nowhere have come the Angels.
One swing and a bat, and look at that.
The game headed into extra innings, but was not tied for long.
Swing and a fly ball to left field. Way back. Walk-off home run. The Red Sox eliminate the Angels.
It was just, it's just incredible for me. I was, celebrating like a crazy person. But then, the Yankees came.
The next night, the Yankees defeated the Twins to advance to the championship series against the Red Sox, adding another chapter to baseball's greatest rivalry. After sweeping the Angels in the division series, the Red Sox headed to New York to face their old foes, the Yankees, in the American League Championship Series.
We were always confident facing the Yankees. You know, it was a team we knew extremely well. We knew what we needed to do to overtake them.
We matched up well. We were confident. We had a quiet arrogance about us, I think, in a good way, and I just think that was part of our success, is that we believed in each other.
But we also know the game of baseball can tear you down really quick.
And then, you know, the way it started couldn't have been any worse.
Curt Schilling took the mound for the Red Sox in Game 1 and got off to a rough start.
Matsui sticks the bat out into left, base hit. The Yankees strike first. And now Bernie Williams grounds it through the right side. Matsui coming home. 2-0 New York.
Schilling was pulled after allowing 6 runs over 3 innings. For the Yankees, starter Mike Mussina retired the first 19 batters he faced. Despite the deficit, the Sox rallied late in the game, but it was not enough.
Miller grounds back to Rivera. The second one on to first. Game over. Yankees win Game 1, 10-7.
The Red Sox hoped to even up the series the next night in Game 2, but the offense struggled to produce.
Strikes out. Another strikeout for Lieber, his third of the night.
Pedro Martinez pitched well, allowing 3 runs over 6 innings. The Sox finally scored late in the game, but Mariano Rivera extinguished any hopes for a comeback.
Game over.
The two teams traveled to Boston with the Yankees leading the series 2-0. After an off day and a rainout, the series was set to resume on Saturday, October 16th. The extra time off did not help the Red Sox.
That ball is up and out. Here's a 2-0. Miller flies to center. Bernie Williams is there, and the Yankees win it, a final of 19-8.
The victory gave the Yankees a 3-0 lead in the series. No team in Major League history had ever come back from such a deficit.
I'll be honest with you, we were down 3-0 quick, got killed Game 3. At that point, I remember going back to my room. It was devastating because you wanted to have at least a series, whether you win or lose. To be down 0-3, you're like, it made you want to throw up. It was that quick. It was just boom.
I think everybody was honestly like, how long can we survive before we get knocked out of this thing?
I'd like to say I was hopeful, but I really wasn't. So it was kind of one of those things that seemed overwhelming at the time, and we were down and disappointed, upset, you know, all the words, all those adjectives.
With Game 4 set for the following night, the Red Sox season was on the line.
I don't think that there was that much confidence there on the Boston side, especially after getting pounded in Game 3.
We didn't tuck tail and we didn't start packing our bags yet. We just let's go out and win tomorrow. Let's go out and do your job, and then we'll just see what happens.
Down 3-0 to the Yankees in the best-of-7 American League Championship Series, the Red Sox remained determined.
I remember coming to the ballpark, and that day there was a black cloud over the ball club. It was very quiet, and it wasn't quite the same locker room, and Kevin was the guy who could bring us back.
I'm just telling you, do not let us win tonight. I don't know how we're going to win tonight, but do not let us win tonight, because if they do, you have Pedro Game 5, you have Schilling Game 6, and I know if that happens, anything can happen in Game 7.
And then it kind of took the pressure off all of us, and we just kind of band together and said, we can win one game.
There was hope. It was just the hope, okay, let's pitch well enough to let this team be around long enough. We win one game and watch out.
The Yankees struck first in Game 4.
He swings at a towering fly ball to deep left, way back. It is gone and out of Fenway.
But the Sox came back in the 5th.
Line drive, but they lead no more. Damon is in. Cabrera rounds. He scores. And Boston has the lead.
Only to give the lead right back an inning later.
Grounds to the right side. Bellhorn knocks it down. Can't make a play, and the Yankees lead again.
Heading into the bottom of the 9th, the Red Sox found themselves down 4-3. Mariano Rivera had pitched the 8th inning and returned to try to finish the game and the series for the Yankees. Kevin Millar led off the inning.
And you can ask Kevin, he's not the most outstanding hitter. He's not usually the guy you're going to want, down a run going into the ninth.
Ball 1.
But he's also so mentally strong that he's able to kind of think his way into doing something right.
Inside, 2-1.
And he did. He took enough pitches and laid off the high cutter.
It's 3-1.
And got on base.
Off walk, and there's life for the Red Sox.
Once I walked, I knew immediately Francona, I look over the duck, get my slow butt out of here, I said, and then boom, here comes Roberts.
Tito came up to me and said, in about right before the 9th inning started, if anybody gets on base, you're going to run for them. So for me, I was ready.
With Dave Roberts on first, Bill Miller came up to bat.
Whether the situation called for me to bunt or the situation called for me to allow some time for Dave to get over to the second, that's what I was going to do.
I don't remember how many days that I hadn't played, and your legs got the jello thing going, and you're excited, you're nervous, but I just knew that I was prepared.
Roberts with a huge lead draws a throw.
There was 3 throwovers, and the first throwover, it was caught my breath a little bit. The game slowed down a little bit. Then there was another throwover, and I was like, okay, now I feel relaxed. Everything started to really, really slow down, and I started to lock in on him.
That was close. He's going.
After that 3rd throwover, I knew that it was like I had played the 8 previous innings, and I was dialed in, and I knew that once he made his move to go home, I was going to get a great jump.
Roberts is going.
As a base stealer, if you get a good jump, you have a good feeling that you're going to be in there. But then you see Derek going for the ball, and then it's going to be close.
Posada's throw, Roberts, safe.
Posada makes an unbelievable throw and puts the throw on the money, and you're talking about a size of a wrist or a hand, safe.
With Roberts now on second, Miller had an opportunity to tie the game.
When Bill came up against Mo again, we thought, this could happen again.
Up the middle, Roberts will come to the plate. The throw by Williams. Bill Miller has tied it.
I don't even remember Dale Swain holding me, sending me, or what. I just knew that right when that ball got past Mo, I was going to score. And it's just one of those things that you could just feel the energy at Fenway just go through the roof, and everyone was like, we got a chance.
Rivera escaped the inning without allowing any more runs, and the game went into extras.
Watching this game, knowing that any mistake, we're done. We are done. Season's over. There is no tomorrow. And at that point, it was a nervous moment in that dugout.
Millar's nerves were settled by David Ortiz.
Swing and a drive. Deep right. Way back Sheffield. It's gone. The Red Sox have won it.
We knew then, if we didn't know before then, that this guy was going to become really one of the most clutch players in the game.
You saw all the pressure or momentum, whatever word you want to use, it's now against the Yankees. Because now they're trying to get that last W to close the series out. And that's what makes a 7-game series great. You got to win 4. You don't have to win 3, you don't have to win 2, you got to win 4.
After the dramatic walk-off victory in Game 4 of the American League Championship Series, the Red Sox still faced an uphill battle with no margin for error. Game 5 started with the Red Sox jumping out to an early lead.
He's crunched into right, 3 straight hits, and the Red Sox take a lead.
But the Yankees would strike back a few innings later.
Line drive is going to be fair down the right field line. It's a 3-run extra base hit for Jeter.
Now down 4-2 in the 8th inning, the Red Sox were once again nearing elimination.
Ortiz hits it to deep left field. Back at the monster and gone. It's a one-run game. And Jason Varitek is up. In the air to center field. And Roberts tag and go. And it's a 4-4 game.
For the second consecutive night, the game went to extra innings. And for the second consecutive night, David Ortiz was the last player to bat.
Ortiz fights it off center field. Damon running to the plate. And he can keep on running to New York.
Once we pulled out those two games in Fenway and had an opportunity to go back to New York, well, we had already created our own snowball and we were throwing it down the mountain, so to say, and the Yankees were going to have to try to deal with us then.
For Game 6, the Red Sox gave the ball to injured starter Curt Schilling.
At that moment, you're talking about a guy that had a surgery on his ankle tendon, having a tough time to walk, didn't know how he was going to plant, didn't know how he was going to push off, and then look at the performance he puts in for Game 6.
Like a scene from The Natural, Schilling climbs the mound. Sierra strikes out, and Curt Schilling rolls through 6 innings.
With Schilling in a groove, the Red Sox grabbed an early lead.
Varitek has put Boston on top.
Schilling threw 7 innings of 1-run ball, and Keith Folt came in to close out Game 6.
Red Sox force Game 7.
In Game 7 the next night, the Red Sox ensured there would be none of the drama that had characterized the series.
And here's Ortiz. He rips one into right field. Back at the wall, 2-0 Red Sox. Damon hits it in the air to right field. Sheffield back in the corner. At the wall, a grand slam. There's another one into right field. Johnny Damon is going off. It's an 8-1 Red Sox lead.
It was one of those games where such an ideal start. We scored runs, we scored early, we kept scoring, and it made my job a lot easier.
Derek Lowe has been sensational. Absolutely fantastic. It's midnight here at Yankee Stadium. The Red Sox are 1 out away. Here it is, ground ball to second. Reese, the Boston Red Sox have won the pennant.
When he gets that ground ball to second base, I think I was already starting to run out on the field when the ball was was hit. It was amazing. I mean, it was pandemonium for us.
Well, it was the first time that the 1918 chant left the building, which was nice.
It was, especially as far back as we came from being down 3, and finally beating your big brother.
You can't make this kind of stuff up. A year ago, we were sitting here walking off crying. We had 25 guys in that locker room with tears in our eyes and grown men just walking in circles in 2003. Now in 2004, here we are, the same 2 teams. Game 7, we walk off. Damon carries us to the promised land. You just knew there was no chance for them at that point.
Once they won Game 4 and they started to build that momentum, the next game, later that night, they weren't going to be stopped.
Three days after the Red Sox defeated the Yankees in New York and won their first American League pennant since 1986, they were set to host the World Series. Their opponents, the St. Louis Cardinals, the same team that had beaten Boston in 1946 and 1967.
The Cardinals were a great club. They were like an American League team. They had the offense with Jim Edmonds and Scott Rowland, Albert Pujols.
I think we had so much confidence after we had made that 4-game comeback that, there was no stopping us.
On the mound for the Sox in Game 1 was veteran knuckleballer Tim Wakefield.
I was just excited. I think the biggest thing that ran through my mind, I think my only worry was how many flashbulbs were going to go off when I threw the first pitch, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it was pretty special.
Renteria strikes out, and a good start for Wakefield tonight.
The Red Sox jumped out to an early lead, plating 4 runs in the first inning and 3 more in the third.
Into left field, a base hit, and that makes it 6-2.
The Cardinals came back to tie the game in the 8th.
Ending the play. Cedeno will come around can score.
But the Red Sox responded later that inning.
Near the pole, home run, Bellhart. And it's 11-9 Boston in game one.
Game one, we made some errors. You know, we played a bad game, we played a sloppy game, and we still found a way to win. And at that time, you know, once we got that first victory like that, and we almost felt like we had already the game in hand. It was already checkmate, you know.
And the Red Sox win it 11-9.
The next night, a still injured Curt Schilling courageously returned to the Fenway Park mound and shut down the Cardinals lineup.
4 strikeouts for Schilling.
Schilling was aided by a rolling Red Sox offense.
Well, 2 runs are going to score. The Red Sox are up 2 games to none.
The two teams traveled to St. Louis for Game 3, and before Pedro Martinez took the mound, Manny Ramirez gave the Red Sox a lead.
A 2-2 pitch, and Manny Ramirez lost it into the seats and left.
Pedro Martinez allowed only 3 hits over 7 shutout innings.
And he strikes out, inning over. Red Sox up 3 games to none.
7 straight wins by the Red Sox.
They had a commanding 3 games to none lead on the Cardinals.
We know what happened when we were down 3 games, so we knew that we had to win that game. And I think the one good thing is we always had our pedal to the metal, and we never let up.
We had hit our stride, so to say, and there wasn't much going to stop us.
The St. Louis fans were going nuts, saying they were going to make that impossible comeback on us, and you know, I definitely needed to silence them.
And that ball is ripped into right field.
I got things started the right way.
1-0 Boston here in game 4.
Derek Lowe picked up where Pedro Martinez had left off the night before as he shut out the Cardinals over 7 innings.
Mabry strikes out and the inning is over.
Trot and I kept looking at each other during the whole game. I mean, we were like, oh my God, this is really going to happen.
Albert Pujols is getting set to lead off the bottom of the 9th inning, and Keith Folk comes in to try and close it.
It was just another, it was another inning, and you don't want to get caught up in the moment where you're like, oh my gosh, this is 100 years worth of frustrations for this city, in this region. It's more just one pitch at a time.
Sox are 1 out away. Back to Folk. Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions.
As soon as he caught that ball, or really as soon as I tossed it, it's like, just like 1,000,000 pounds lifted off my shoulders.
Words can't describe it, how so much weight was lifted off everybody's shoulder. Not only ours, the team, but generations and generations of Red Sox fans, generations and generations of players, ex-players.
I remember staying in the locker room in St. Louis for hours, just hanging out with each other and guys dancing, and this probably isn't going to happen again. We're never going to be together again like this. This is something so special that might not ever happen for the next 1,000 years on Earth.
Yeah!
By the time we got to the plane, the sun was already starting to come up.
Following season after season of disappointment, those who wore the Red Sox uniform in 2004 finally delivered the franchise its elusive 6th World Series championship, its first in 86 years.
I think that 04 team has put in so many thoughts and images of what you should build a team up.
So many characters on a team, but everybody was always going in the same direction.
Team effort from top to bottom.
Togetherness that we had was something special, and and you need those things, especially to go through adversity like we did, be able down 3-0. You have to have a close-knit team.
It took that special group of guys to be down 3-0 to the Yankees and to not abandon one another and still band together. So that's what we did. It was a special group, and to kind of simulate that again, I just don't see it happening.